Welcome to the 2022 Texas Longhorns recruiting special. Sarkisian and company landed the 5th ranked class in the nation, even after a turbulent season. Let's cover each and every recruit and transfer. We'll dive into every position group, break down their tape, and see their potential for the Texas Longhorns. And as always, don't forget to pick up your new hat for the new season from Last Stand Hats. Use promo code TexasHomer, all caps, for 10% off your purchase at laststandhats.com. I know you like recruiting, and there's no better source than Inside Texas. The cycle never stops, with those guys already all over the upcoming 2023 class. Is Texas in a good spot for Arch Manning? Go find out today at InsideTexas.com. Before the show, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new video. That way I can keep bringing you bigger and better Texas Longhorn content. And if you like what you see, consider joining as a channel member so you have access to exclusive Texas content and my personal opinions on smaller football topics. Just hit that blue join button and you can see all the tiers. It's time to go in depth on all the new additions and see what's in store for the future. I'm excited and you should be too. Without further ado, let's get into it. After last year's recruiting class debacle, Sarkisian has us back on track, pulling in the talent we need to compete at the higher levels, while also securing needed additions from SEC country, an area we must recruit successfully in the coming years. Big shouts out to Kyle Flood and Jeff Banks on the offensive side of the ball. On offense, we pulled in 2 quarterbacks, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers, 1 tight end, and a whopping 7 offensive linemen. So let's start with offense, quarterback specifically. Quinn Ewers was originally in the 2022 class before reclassifying, remaining the number 1 player overall in both the 21 and 22 class. He committed to Texas early before ultimately choosing Ohio State, as the Tom Herman regime was likely on its way out the door. He received a perfect ranking, only 1 of 6 players in the modern recruiting era, and only 1 of 2 quarterbacks all time. The other was Vince Young. And these are lofty expectations to place on any young man, but let's see why he was given this rare designation. First, let's talk arm. Quinn can hit any throw on the field, making NFL-level throws as just a sophomore in high school. And it's not that he can just get the ball there eventually. Quinn throws with high velocity, not allowing defensive backs the time to undercut the ball. Fans often make the mistake of thinking a big arm means long throws downfield. And this is not the case, as most quarterbacks can throw a fade or a post. In fact, they are 2 of the easier throws to make, more akin to an arm punt where you are just throwing it up as high as you can, while your receiver adjusts under it. Arm strength is best displayed through velocity, the high spin rate on the ball. Defensive backs are more likely to make a play the longer the ball is in the air. Distance only matters when it's on a line, and this is what separates the good from the great arms. On top of throw velocity, Quinn is able to launch the ball from different arm angles, first seen with Matthew Stafford and recently popularized by Patrick Mahomes. This allows Quinn to throw it by defensive linemen in his face or second-level players blocking his line of sight. Throwing from multiple planes allows QBs to make plays that others can't. Pressure significantly lowers the chance of completing a pass, but throwing from a different angle can open up a lane, allowing the play to continue on. But throwing bullets is just a fraction of the throws that need to be made. Using touch will allow you to loft the ball over second and third level defenders, greatly improving completion rate. This skilled ball placement creates an accurate quarterback. Oftentimes, guys are covered up, but there's a way to nullify coverage, and that's by using anticipation. Quinn doesn't wait to throw it once the receiver is open. He leads the receiver to the spot where only they can catch it. And this is my favorite quarterback trait, as it means no one-on-one receiver is ever truly covered. Quinn has an excellent mental map of the field, one he utilizes even when he can't actually see his target. His ability to remain in the pocket under pressure and still deliver the ball is a cut above. Ewers' pocket presence, whether it's stepping up or sidestepping the pocket, shows great awareness of opposing defenders, his offensive line, as well as his receiving target. And blitzes usually lessen a quarterback's completion percentage, but Ewers is able to make defenses pay when they bring extra guys. And on top of the pro-style quarterback ability, he also has functional mobility. He doesn't possess a lot of speed, but that mental map of the field helps to understand where the pressure is and isn't, granting quick escapes and picking up needed first downs. You won't see 80-yard designed runs, but you will see crucial pickups on third down when all the receivers are covered. Now for the other side of the coin with talented arms. Quinn believes in his arm, and this leads to some risky shots at times. And you'll notice other special arms have this issue. Stafford, Allen, Herbert, Mahomes, Burrow, all top 10 in interceptions this season. When you think you can make any throw, then you tend to try to make any throw. But those risks also pay off a good amount of time, requiring a delicate balance. In high school, he has a really relaxed drop back with good pass protection, leading to a slower release. He's often lofting the ball with touch, making release speed unnecessary, especially in a clean pocket. But this will be sped up at the college level, facing quick edge rushers. With all the physical ability in the world with the required field awareness, QB is equally about the intangibles. Can Quinn take full control of the team, displaying a dogged determination even when the chips are down? And that's yet to be seen. Quinn possesses arm ability that some NFL quarterbacks struggle with, but does that mean he will take the world by storm week 1? Maybe, maybe not, as the learning curve at quarterback is significant. But if we step back and focus on long-term NFL QB prospects, we haven't seen a guy like this in a long time. The stuff he was doing as just a sophomore in high school was truly special. But that's not the end of the quarterback haul. There's a kid out of Cali who is looking to make his mark as well. Malik Murphy was an early commit, and he never wavered throughout a wild recruiting season, one in which he lost his 5th star and Texas added another quarterback of higher rank. All the while, Murphy led his team to a state championship after big question marks about his lack of playing time. His focus and determination displays those crucial intangibles required of the position. He could have easily played at a top academy out in California, surrounding himself with Power 5 offensive linemen and receivers, but he chose to stick around and win with his friends in his town. And he's a likable guy, using humor to put others at ease while remaining serious on the field. Malik's maturity will help tremendously through his college journey, but let's talk about the parts of quarterback play that we can quantify. He's an intriguing NFL prospect with the proper physical tools. Size is a plus with his 6'4", 225-pound frame with room to grow. He's not a running quarterback, allowing his play style to translate easier to pro-style offenses. And his arm is no joke, with easily one of the strongest arms in the class. Malik doesn't struggle to put the ball downfield, able to take a shot at the end zone whenever he pleases. A double-edged sword at times, this strength allowing him to get away with improper mechanics. Inconsistent footwork and his feet not being grounded can affect the timing of throws, both short and far. If he solidifies his base with both feet synced and planted, that big arm becomes even more deadly. This will improve as he matures and spends time under top quarterback coaching. Mechanics improve consistency, and consistency improves accuracy. Malik completed 55 and 63% in his junior and senior years, and that will need to rise at the college level. Malik is already a fan favorite, and deservedly so. Sark was clear in his plan for Malik. He can develop for a couple years, giving him the time to solidify the small but crucial intricacies of the position. With improved consistency, the NFL will be curious about Malik's talent ceiling, which is already high to begin with. In some time, you will see Malik lighting it up with his rocket arm and competitive mentality. That kid isn't afraid of competition, and that's just another reason I'm excited he's with the Longhorns. Jaden Blue was a top 3 running back in the nation before sitting out his senior year in Houston. Recruiting services dinged his ranking as more of a rebuff than an objective evaluation of his on-field talent. I thought that was a corny move, and I still think the same. The ability and proven production is all on tape for us to see. In his junior year, he went for 200 yards in 6 of his 11 games, averaging 9.5 yards per carry against Texas 6A competition. He's a versatile back, able to change his running style from quick-footed cuts to avoid crowded boxes, to lowering the shoulder and running over guys, to beating guys in a foot race to the edge. His speed jumps out on tape, and he's verified by posting a 10.7 in the 100 meters. Jaden's an incredibly smooth runner. It just looks right when he's moving in the open field, often doing his best work on the outside where he can get to full speed quickly, but he's effective running inside as well, able to make quick single cuts, bouncing his run to another gap or avoiding that unblocked linebacker on the second level. While still able to run over opposing defenders, he doesn't seek contact unnecessarily, opting for the more efficient finesse move around tacklers. And when the line secures their blocks, Jaden is excellent at gliding through the clutter and coming out the other end at full speed, allowing him to hit home run shots from way out of the end zone. And he also provides a threat in the pass game on checkdowns, routes to the flats, and the occasional motion into the slot. Blue has wide receiver level hands for a back. Pair that with his quick moves and long speed, he can make some impressive receptions in the pass game as well. If Jaden stays grounded, he's headed to the NFL. And now it's time to take a look at some receivers that can supercharge Sarkisian's deep shot offense. Wyoming transfer Isaiah Nayor is a consequential addition to the Texas wide receiver room. Nayor allows Sarkisian to open up the pass game significantly. His production at Wyoming drew national buzz, scoring 12 touchdowns on just 44 catches, averaging 20 yards per reception. His most prominent trait is his ability to consistently come down with 50-50 balls, something lacking in the wide receiver room for a few years. Nayor's large 6'3", 210-pound frame allows him to snatch the ball from the air on contested catches, often making difficult acrobatic catches in the process. Ultimately, it's his technical ability that allows for these exciting grabs. He's sound with deliberate footwork, permitting Sarkisian to expand his route tree at Texas. While known as a deep threat, his skill will allow him to make catches in the short and intermediate range. That effective footwork opens up under routes that require horizontal releases. But technical ability doesn't mean much without the field awareness to know when and where to utilize certain moves. Nayor's understanding of defensive back leverage grants him opportunities against varied defensive schemes. He does a great job of tricking DBs into running themselves away from the catch point. His understanding of his offense and how it relates to opposing defensive structures add the secret sauce to his success. While those that study wide receivers will most admire his technical skill, your average fan will love his flashy deep ball ability as he pulls in the reception with DBs draping over him. Nayor is an important addition to the Texas offense in more ways than one. Our top wide receiver commit for the 22 class is Brennan Thompson out of Spearman, Texas. The first thing that's evident is his elite speed, and I believe the technical term is fast as hell. He ran a 10.32 his sophomore year in the 100 meter, later winning a gold medal, posting a blazing 21.27 in the 200 in the 3A division. The raw speed he possesses is Sark's most desired trait in a receiver. Speed is a game breaker, allowing a receiver to maintain an advantage even against the most technical of defensive backs. But it's not just long speed in the open field. He can dismantle defenders' ankles without losing too much top-end speed. He's crafty in limited space, utilizing quickness over just long speed. Thompson's range of talent led to playing multiple positions in high school, including returns on special teams. He can take handoffs from the backfield and secure quick screens behind the line, while remaining a threat in both the intermediate and deep passing game. If he gets to the edge or behind a defensive back in the pass, you aren't catching him. He fits the Sarkisian receiver archetype, opting for smaller framed guys that are hard to keep up with. Long are the days of requiring 6'3", 220-pound receivers to make a reception. At 5'10", 165 pounds, he will gain weight throughout college conditioning, but his speed and elusiveness more than make up for lacking traditional wide receiver height. Thompson isn't an early enrollee, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him receive meaningful reps in his first year, and in the years to follow, he will be a staple in the Sarkisian offense. And that brings us to our final receiver in Xavier Red out of Grand Prairie, Texas. And he's a versatile player as well, often viewed as an athlete who could play running back or receiver, though receiver seems more likely due to a crowded room at Texas. He's most effective in the slot, attacking shorter routes over the middle, but he can stem out for the occasional outside throw. Red has no fear running over the middle where he could be pummeled by full-speed DBs. This tough running continues after the catch, picking up extra yards after contact consistently. Xavier's willingness to seek contact makes him a good culture fit that can introduce more attitude in the lineup. I expect him to become a fan favorite in the years to come after he displays his intense style. And the word dog is overused in the sport, but Xavier Red is a dog in the truest sense. Now we arrive at the only tight end added to the roster this year. Alabama transfer Jaleel Billingsley made noise under Sark's offense, posting the best SEC tight end receiving grade for the 2020 season. After the coordinator changed to Bill O'Brien, Billingsley didn't see much action, leading him to the 40 acres. He's a special talent at the tight end position with an NFL receiver build of 6'4", 230 pounds. Billingsley does his damage in the pass game, with his best work coming from long crossing routes to the end zone. Due to his size and speed, he can be utilized in the slot or even out wide, creating matchup problems wherever he lands. Billingsley is a fluid runner that strides down the field with a large catch radius. At Bama, Sark loved to motion him throughout the field, giving him a head start on the smaller defenders. And due to his wide receiver-like athletic ability, he can lack strength at the catch point. But with Jeff Banks' development, we should see some more instances of yards after the catch. Jaleel does need to improve on the blocking side, playing on the line only about 50% of the time. Scheme can benefit his blocking, like motioning him into blocks on split zone or using him to double team guys with the offensive tackle. Ultimately, he needs to improve his power to be a consistent drive blocker in tandem with the offensive line. At the end of the day, he's at Texas to remain a weapon in the pass game, and that he is. Jaleel provides instant play and big scores for us, finally back in Sark's offense that utilized him so effectively at Alabama. And that's all for the skill guys on offense. It's officially time to look at the most anticipated position group of recent memory, the impressive 2022 offensive line haul. Let's begin with the #1 interior offensive lineman in the nation, Devon Campbell. His athleticism for his size is nuts. His athleticism for an average size guy is nuts. His best fit, especially for the NFL, is guard, but due to his ability, he could play right tackle aided by his long reach. His explosiveness makes every scout perk up, further displayed by playing defensive tackle in high school as well. He has ready-made size for the college game at 310 pounds while lacking a little bit of height at 6'3", but that isn't as large of a factor when playing in the interior. The most prominent intangible trait Campbell utilizes is his savage demeanor. His ferocious run blocking will pancake all that oppose him. Devon makes sure to drive defenders into the ground with extreme prejudice. That inspired raw aggression is exactly what you're looking for in an offensive lineman. He isn't going through the motions or going light due to his superior athleticism. He fully leverages his natural advantages and puts dudes in the dirt. And his technical ability is also on tape for the world. Campbell's most formidable in the run game, and he can pull and crush guys. He can run inside zone, climbing up to linebackers in the blink of an eye, and his impressive speed allows him to get wide quickly on outside zone. Most offensive line don't have the ability to climb to the third level to block a safety, but he does. Devon doesn't stop headhunting even after his man is neutralized. He seems to actively enjoy throttling smaller defensive players. Pass blocking is where Devon is less developed, though not lacking by any means. He almost tries to run block passes because he is so inherently physical. As he refines his pass set and gains more control over his large body, he will excel in thwarting the pass rush at the collegiate level. At times, he's like a car with high horsepower that just spins out rounding a corner, but he has all the potential in the world. There's a reason he's a projected first-round pick since he was just 16 years old. Campbell will get significant playing time and potentially start in year 1, but he's not the only one that can make an early appearance. Texas landed the left tackle prospect of our dreams in Humble, Texas's Kelvin Banks. At a whopping 6'5", 315 pounds, Kelvin is primed to take over the Texas left tackle position in little time, despite not enrolling early. Tackles are usually less aggressive than guards, since they employ more skill and less power going up against edge defenders. But this is not the case for Banks. He plays with the anger of an emotionally disturbed run-blocking guard. He takes pride in abusing linebackers and making them think twice about looking him up, but he tosses the larger defensive linemen around just as easily. Kelvin has excellent mobility and can get to the second level or out wide in short duration. His long arms allow him to latch onto guys before they can engage him first. His fluidity allows him to reach and secure his block, no matter the distance, time after time. The most intriguing part of Banks' skill set is his advanced pass blocking. It's required facing the best pass rusher on defense while protecting the quarterback blind side. Pass blocking is just an exercise in high stakes geometry, and y'all thought the Pythagorean theorem was irrelevant after high school. His quick footwork manufactures the proper angles against that weak side rusher screaming off the edge. That arm length paired with strength allows Kelvin to strike the opposing defender, halting their forward progress. Kelvin's proper hand placement allows him to alter the path of the pass rusher, forcing them off balance and thwarting their plan of attack. Left tackles are the rarest body to find in the whole game of football, as they require freakish size paired with freakish athleticism to go up against their freakish counterpart in the edge rusher. All these traits put together equate to a first-round pick in the NFL. Texas is now officially cooking with gas on the offensive line, but that's not all. The embarrassment of riches continues with top 5 guard nationally and Neto Umeozulu. If he does become a guard, he would be incredibly mobile for the position, getting up to second level defenders with the quickness. Neto is a real meanie head in the run game, opting to maul defensive players, often introducing their head to the turf when the opportunity arises. He drive blocks defensive ends backwards 5 yards and topples linebackers on the regular. His quick reaction time leads to successful reach blocks that turn defenders who have the advantage of the outside leverage. You can let him fake his set and then release him upfield to hunt the smaller guys on screens. And his height's there, standing 6 foot 4 inches. But he needs to increase his bulk at the college level, currently weighing 285 pounds. And this will not be a tough task for Neto. Going from high school strength and conditioning with no uniform nutrition plans to a college strength program with prepared foods should increase his weight rather rapidly. His ability to keep the weight on in season when weightlifting declines and more calories are spent on game reps is yet to be seen. While still a little green in pass blocking like most high school players, Umeozulu has the skills to improve with time if he does take the tackle route. If he sticks at guard, then his pass blocking should be far more effective due to latching on to bigger players and less space. I truly didn't believe Texas had a shot at Neto, and this was the biggest welcome surprise of the cycle for me. And then we landed Big Cam Williams out of Duncanville. His pituitary gland is the definition of all gas, no brakes. At 6'4", 360 pounds. In fact, Cam will have to lose weight to play at the college level, which is a nice change of pace. Due to his size, you'd assume he'd be underdeveloped in pass blocking, but that's not the case. He excels moving backwards against quicker, smaller defensive ends. His hulking frame takes up the whole rushing lane, giving pass rushers no other choice but to attempt to engage him head on. This is not wise, since you stand very little chance of pushing him backwards into the quarterback. Williams can improve the speed of his pass set, moving his feet more quickly, but he has real potential at the tackle position. In the run game, his size overpowers just about any defensive end he comes across. He can take the defender's first strike and rebound with ease, turning the tide and driving them backwards. Cam looks to finish the block in a pancake and displays the requisite nastiness to be a formidable offensive lineman. As his speed increases, he can drive dudes into the ground in those first 3 steps opposed to his usual 5 or 6. Even though his opponents were far below his size, he did play 6A Division I ball, displaying it's not just his weight that allowed him to dominate several future Power 5 defensive ends and linebackers. Cam Williams was another offensive lineman we weren't supposed to get, yet here he is. We have our final tackle candidate in Malik Ogbo from the faraway land of Washington. At 6'5", 320 pounds, he's also a solid pass blocker, with nimble feet able to adjust to the fast moves of an edge player. While not fast in his initial set, once engaged, his feet fire well, able to shuffle and pivot in response to the pass rush. When it's time to run the ball, he is sufficiently mobile. He can improve speed on his first step and can be a little lumbering in getting to the second level. Malik is able to block his man effectively, but I would like to see more aggression, of the extracurricular smash them into the ground type. He's absolutely able to take guys off their feet, but go ahead and fall on them to lower their will to live while you're at it. Ogbo has to take some time to develop and even has a potential future at guard, but his natural size and penchant for pass blocking should add a needed boost to the current Texas offensive line, lacking great tackle options for several years. And now we have some clear interior guys, including our only early enrollee in Frisco's Cole Hudson. He's that mauling guard type that is a pain for opposing linemen in the run. His high school was run heavy, and Cole got most of his reps matching up with the nose and defensive tackle. While not a freak athlete like a Kelvin Banks or Devon Campbell, guard doesn't require all of that. Hudson's 6'5", 312 pound size, paired with a solid motor, mean temperament, and a love of contact, is exactly what you want in a collegiate guard. Effort is never an issue with Cole. He's aware of his target and executes his blocks effectively, including pulling around the line to attack that first unlucky defender. He is adamant in finishing his blocks with his foe on their back. Pass blocking is the least developed aspect of Cole's game due to being in a run-centric offense. He needs reps in an offense that throws the ball deep consistently. Hudson has a jump on the rest of his classmates as an early enrollee, but I expect to see him in the starting lineup in a couple years. Coaches will certainly reward his consistent effort and his run blocking enthusiasm. If there's a logjam at guard, Cole could even try his hand at center. The more clear choice at center to provide depth for Jake Majors is Austin's very own Connor Robertson out of state champion Westlake. Center requires more than physicality as the leader of the offensive line, calling out protections, recognizing pressure, and informing the remaining linemen who to block. You need an intelligent player, and Robertson fits the bill, racking up offers from prestigious institutions such as Columbia, Dartmouth, Duke, Northwestern, Princeton, and Stanford. While the intellectual type, Connor also enjoys a good bar fight. He's quick for an interior guy, as well demonstrated by his tackle play at Westlake. Robertson is a cerebral player, able to execute the blocking scheme and neutralize his man straight up, or go hunting on the second level or pulling around on a power play. He's aggro, looking for the pancake or to fall on the down player, ensuring he's eliminated from the play. At 6'4", 300 pounds, with the mind to match, he's an excellent center candidate in the coming years. And that's it for the insane offensive line haul this year. And there isn't a guy in this group that doesn't have a shot at a starting spot in the future. Often your lower ranked guys are for depth, but everyone pulls their weight in this class, literally. Now it's time to jump over to the other side of the ball. Defense simply has to improve this year with a dismal performance in 2021. But thanks to this class, we could soon see that be the case. We landed 4 interior defensive linemen, 4 edge players, 1 inside linebacker, 4 corners, and 3 safeties. Let's start with the interior and work our way backwards. First, defensive tackle and nose candidates. Jarray Bledsoe's natural athleticism will catch anyone's eye. Incredibly explosive as he knifes into the backfield, and he can time the snap and simply hop over the line. Doubled by a guard and a center, no problem. He throws them violently to the side. That fast initial step isn't wasted as Bledsoe is quick in recognizing the play, utilizing that burst to tackle running backs and quarterbacks alike. If the run play does get outside, Jarray is able to catch up quickly and pull them down from behind. We're talking about a guy that played both running back and defensive tackle for his team in high school. Seriously, a 270-pound running back complete with spin moves, stiff arms, the whole kit and caboodle. It's hilarious to watch. But due to his athletic edge, he can be light on technique at times. His ability to simply overpower players doesn't encourage great hand placement, pad level, and sound tackling. Bledsoe needs to focus on the intricacies of the position because soon he will face college competition he simply can't just toss to the side. At 6'4", weighing 270 pounds, he'll need to add a bit of weight for the defensive tackle position, but his mobility can earn him reps at the edge at his current size. While raw in technique, being an early enrollee should only benefit Bledsoe's development. Jarray's adjustment transitioning from 3A ball to Power 5 will be his largest test to date, but if he can make that jump sooner rather than later, he has one of the highest upsides in the entire class. Defensive tackle Christopher Ross played the best of the best week in and week out during his time in North Shore. The measurables are there, 6'3", 280 pounds with an 80-inch wingspan, posting a verified 4.45 laser shuttle. And that pairing of agility and size raised the scout's eyebrows. He's flexible too, providing great bend at the hips and the ankles. Add in those long arms, he's able to explode off the line, landing the first strike, knocking offensive linemen backwards, time and time again. But having all those tools doesn't mean a thing if you don't play with passion. And Chris is a beast, physical, giving max effort every play. Offensive linemen do not enjoy Ross's enthusiasm, constantly being shoved into the quarterback on pass plays and being discarded to the side on runs. His disruptive nature requires hypervigilance by opposing coordinators. Leaving him one-on-one with a guard is not a winning strategy, forcing you behind the sticks. Ross doesn't give up on plays, with him chasing a running back into the third level to make a tackle. You've got all the check marks on paper and the motor to maximize those gifts. Chris Ross has a bright future in Austin. And next we have a true nose candidate. Bo Davis reached into SEC country to grab Mississippi's Aaron Bryant, and he's a big old boy at 6'4", 305 pounds. Aaron's power is evident, constantly clogging running lanes and stalemating double teams. He's able to stand his ground, throwing a wrench into the offense's run scheme even when he doesn't get into the backfield. And he's effective on the pass rush too, able to drive guys back with good finishing effort. In the middle of being blocked, his reach can still disrupt quarterbacks, forcing bad balls and the occasional sack. And he's another raw prospect that will develop more technique under his time with Bo Davis, but at this point his hulking frame and strength is enough to send quarterbacks fleeing. And our final interior defensive lineman is Zack Swanson out of Phoenix, Arizona, currently undersized at 255 pounds, but he has a 6'4" frame to grow into throughout strength and conditioning. He explodes out of his stance with good hand placement. This consistent use of proper technique provides advantages that size can't. Swanson's able to utilize several moves in the pass rush, displaying situational awareness and a drive to improve off the field. He invites contact and he doesn't duck pullers coming to smack him in the run game, often rising up and hitting them first before they can use their momentum against him. At defensive end, opposing teams would leave him unblocked as the read man often, demonstrating they don't like to block him with their tackle and prefer to make him wrong with optionality. Even that doesn't work at times, able to get flat behind the line and chase down the ball carrier running the opposite direction. Zack is an interesting prospect that seems to possess the intangibles required of starting defensive linemen. With options at edge due to his technique and smaller weight, he can get moved around a bit in the interior, but he makes up for that lack of size with technique, awareness, and sound tackling. And now, dear friends, it's time to break down the edge players. Often known as defensive ends, they are technically outside linebackers in the Kwiatkowski scheme. And there's two positions, one on each side. The jack is the strong side edge, often utilized for making stops in the run game, fighting off tackles paired with those pesky blocking tight ends. And then we have the buck position, or the weak side edge, specializing in pass rush and occasionally dropping into coverage. As the weakest aspect of the defense last year, Kwiatkowski made this class a priority, landing a solid group with both speed and power, able to hold up against future SEC competition. The highest ranked being straight out of SEC territory in Trussville, Alabama. And he's already a fan favorite, and it's not hard to see why. Justice is a staple in the backfield, able to shoot through the offensive line with a healthy mix of power and technique. His backfield closing speed is A-OK, latching onto the ball carrier and ending any illusions of a positive gain. We need someone who can pressure the passer, and Finkley can provide this service, able to set up slow-footed tackles, either cutting inside quickly or wrapping around them. The added emphasis on good hand and foot placement grants Finkley this consistent advantage. But he's strong as hell too, and he can move inside to the B gap, demonstrated during his reps at defensive tackle. Playing interior defensive line is a show of strength and intensity, something much needed in the Texas run game. On the occasion where the back slips out, Finkley puts it in high gear and makes the play. You'll never see Justice just watching the play, and this style wears on offensive linemen as the game progresses. Finkley has the physical tools and the skill that generates next level excitement, but this is another case where that mental evaluation raises the overall ceiling even higher. In simple terms, his mind's right. He comes from a family of educators that did a splendid job in making Justice a well-rounded, dynamic individual. And academics matter to Justice, with Dell Medical School playing a big role in his recruitment, aiming to become a neurosurgeon, which I think is nice because he can fix you right up after slamming your head in the ground for a couple hours. And there's a reason coaches are already talking up Finkley on and off the field just a few weeks into his time at Texas. Now we have a top 10 player in the state of Louisiana. Jamon Tap is cause for excitement on the edge. While still light at 250 pounds, he has plenty of room to pack on the weight at 6'3". Those wide shoulders and long arms sweeten the pot further. While certainly raw, that ceiling keeps rising for Tap. Tap has great pursuit speed, hawking down ball carriers running the opposite direction. He's able to remain relevant in every play. And power's there too, able to jolt offensive linemen when they should be plowing ahead to create running lanes. Due to his violent movements on the field, the double team also struggles to neutralize Tap, frustrating the opposing team's run game. His length proves disruptive in the pass game as well. He's too much for high school tackles in general, but when the block is effective, he still manages to reach out and unnerve quarterbacks. Smacking their arm from the side leads to errant passes and potential picks in the secondary. And if he doesn't make contact, that QB's internal clock is sped up, increasing the chance of a poor decision. Edge isn't all about concrete statistics like sacks. Your job is to create an uncomfortable environment for the quarterback, and he does just that. Then we have elite recruiter Derek Brown out of Texarkana, and he's an absolute culture fit, ready to work hard and restore a sense of normalcy in Austin. He's a stand-up outside linebacker, pass-rushing edge type, quick against the pass with several moves. His technique is varied, able to rush up the field or use hand fighting to cut inside for the fastest route to the quarterback. That lanky frame is beneficial due to his arm length, with his knuckles hanging just above the knees. Once in the backfield, he's sticky and hard to outmaneuver. But Brown does need to attack carbs with a vengeance and pack on pounds to stand up well in the run game at the college level. He's currently sitting at 210 pounds. Due to this, he can be driven back in the run game and needs to improve his snap anticipation to offset a smaller size. He's on a longer development curve, giving him more time to gain the mass. The slim build profiles more to weak side edge in a few years, but potentially could play a role in the linebacking core. Our final edge commit is about as intriguing as they come. Ethan Burke has insane height and length. He's 6'7" and has no issues in changing light bulbs. He's a versatile athlete, originally a national lacrosse prospect before deciding to stick with football. He's not ready to start today, but that rare body type could be something fierce in a couple years. He can be totally blocked, throw those arms up, and swat passes down with ease. One time he knocked the International Space Station off course. Long legs let him cover ground quickly, thwarting quarterbacks' escape attempts. And Burke isn't bumbly or awkward for his size. He has good body control. It's hard for tackles to block him because they need to be able to get their hands onto the front of his pads, and they don't have the length for that. When he locks out his arms, it's an unfair reach advantage. And you develop Ethan Burke effectively, adding more muscle, he will be a total pain in the ass for opposing offensive coordinators and quarterbacks alike. And here's a bonus edge player that is not a sure thing yet. O'Shawn Mathis is an all Big 12 defensive end currently at TCU, and he'll transfer out after completing his degree in the spring. And Texas is in the top 5 along with Ole Miss, USC, Penn State, and Nebraska. And reporting feels Texas is the current favorite due to a wide open roster, a close relationship with Gary Patterson, and his hometown only being 30 minutes outside of Austin. He's most valuable in the pass rush for Texas. Great technique and quickness allows him to consistently pressure quarterbacks. In 2020, he notched 17 quarterback hurries, 7 quarterback hits, and 9 sacks. But he's not just a pass rush specialist, remaining consistent in the run game, tackling, and even coverage. Once again, nothing is a guarantee in the transfer portal, but he'd be an instant starter and raise the overall skill level of our edge players overnight. Texas needs an NFL pick on the line, and O'Shawn Mathis is that guy. And that's a wrap on the line. Moving to the second level, we find our only inside linebacker commit. We lack depth at this position, and only landing one is not ideal. Choate needs a bounce back in 2023 while hoping to land a starting caliber transfer post-spring ball. Travell Johnson was an early commit with a strong mental eval. Outside of the top 300, he will be on a longer development curve, currently weighing 200 pounds. Travell is physical though, never shying away from making the big hit. He meets lead blockers head on, and this willingness to get dirty is a crucial trait for linebackers. He moves well with decent speed, displaying the ability to track ball carriers from distance, including on special teams. His play recognition gets him to the right spot to utilize that aggression. Johnson is a heady player that can diagnose run blocking schemes and anticipate where the ball is routed, which has been lacking at Texas. He makes life easier on himself by timing the snap well on blitzes, and that situational awareness puts you a step ahead of the competition. It's not that wow factor athleticism you see from top 10 linebacker prospects, but linebacker really doesn't require all that flash. In the Big 12, the toughest inside linebackers are sound in their fundamentals, doing great work year after year. Johnson's intelligence and angry play style can have him climbing the depth chart as Texas sorts out the linebacker room in the coming seasons. And now we arrive at the final group. Let's hit the secondary, starting with corner. This room is probably the most consequential room at Texas, with several options with plenty of eligibility. Whoever doesn't start at corner has options at nickel and even safety. Now it's time to see who can seize that opportunity. Texas made a nice grab in Ohio State transfer Ryan Watts, originally from Little Elm, Texas. He's a big physical corner, ideal to put in the boundary to match up against teams' largest receivers. The 6'3", 205-pound frame allows him to match up in man on the single side, though he will likely play a zone corner role in the Texas system. And he can travel with crossing routes as well, able to stick on receivers in traffic and trigger down and make the tackle. Watts played wide receiver in high school as well, giving him knowledge of receivers' goals and route trees. He's able to diagnose the play quickly and run their routes for them, leading to interceptions. If the opposing receiver does make the grab, he isn't shy in making the hit. His size also bolsters his ability in the run and outside screen game, able to come down on running backs or receivers headed to the flats, and he can fight over blocks and blow up players stretching the defense on the sidelines. The speed is there too. While not insane, his earlier reps at receiver show an ability to get down the field quickly, helping him stay on top of vertical receivers downfield. Watts had to go up against the best receiving core in the nation at Ohio State daily, and those reps are hard to come by. Now entering his 3rd season in the college game, Watts can immediately shake things up, able to nab a spot at boundary corner early into his time at Texas. Then we have young Terence Brooks, son of NFL safety Chet Brooks. Though not tall at 5'11", he has top percentile arm length, able to reach in and disrupt passes when he's a step behind. He's physically gifted with an excellent football IQ, allowing him to play any spot in the secondary, but I am most excited to see him at corner. His understanding keeps him in the right spot. Whether in zone or man, Brooks is a problem for opposing receivers. He's sticky, staying at the hip of the wide receiver, taking away the quarterback's throw read, and if they do decide to test him, his speed and and long arms disrupt available passing lanes, forcing the ball incomplete. He likes contact, opting to jar the ball loose or at least put the receiver on the turf. Burke takes pride in stopping the run and outside screens, opposing all blockers that come between him and his target. He's competitive as hell, saying he couldn't wait to match up with Xavier Worthy when he got to campus. Brooks wasn't a huge fan of the recruiting process or the camp circuit, preferring to develop his skill away from all the glitz and glamour. Though recognized as a top corner in the country, he maintains the mentality of an unknown no-star still trying to make his mark. Brooks' early arrival, physical ability, mental makeup, and young age for his class all point to a player who can be an all-conference talent. There's a reason there's already NFL talk. Jalen Gilbo is another player with options in the secondary, potentially playing nickel early on. He's already being praised for how he came in, working hard and earning his respect. He's vigilant, able to read concepts and receivers to disrupt at the catch point. His physicality always puts an added pressure on the receiver, as he never intends for you to make an easy grab, if you catch it at all. He's really effective pressed up in man due to this aggressive play style, jamming up receivers and limiting their route before it even begins. When playing off, he can turn and run with receivers due to a track background, all while keeping his eye on the quarterback downfield, looking for the right time to make a play on the ball. He does this by getting his hands on receivers even downfield. He's skilled enough to not overexert and force a flag, but he certainly influences their ability to separate and lean into him. Corner is a damn hard position, and the smart players find little ways to gain back edge, and Gilbo has a great understanding of this. He's an early enrollee and in a position that doesn't take as long to develop, so we could see Jalen sooner rather than later. His hard-working personality also helps the Longhorns in addressing the entitled culture that developed amongst some upperclassmen. And then we have Xavier Bryce out of Arlington, who's on a longer development curve as he accrues more size. He's a lanky guy at 6'1", 175 pounds, so the weight room will be a key determinant in his playtime. He played a lot of roles in high school, getting reps at wide receiver, quarterback, and in the secondary. Bryce is a good athlete, likely ending up at corner for us due to his long frame, with the proper speed to match up against outside threats. He has good speed in the open field, and he can use his height effectively on those jump balls, but weight will limit him, making it tough in the run game and against larger blocking receivers. I'm keeping an eye on how our strength and conditioning can benefit a player like Bryce, and how quickly he's able to get up to size. And we have arrived at the last position group. Safety was a low-performing unit last year, and hopefully some new blood can help revitalize the room. Field safeties generally play in more space, needing more speed and dexterity. Boundary safeties play in less space, needing more size to stop boundary receivers and weak side runs. This group of recruits are versatile, all showing traits of both safety types, providing flexibility for Gideon as to where they might land. BJ Allen out of Aledo is our top-ranked safety prospect. While already an excellent athlete, the most important trait for the safety position is awareness. The reason the position exists is to be the last line of defense, able to clean up mistakes from the first and second levels. And I'm happy to report Allen displays this time and time again. Some safeties shine in the pass, others in the run. But if you're smart and can sniff out how an offense is aiming to attack, you can be equally effective in both. In the pass game, sitting up high in the third level, Allen has a solid command of offensive passing concepts, allowing him to lurk around the catch point. He can secure the interception outright, or if that's not in the cards, fly in and smack the receiver. He stalks the quarterback's gaze, all while keeping an eye on the receiver. While a headache in the pass game, he doesn't avoid the rougher sides of the position. Those instincts continue into the run game. He's adaptable, able to play flat-footed in the box, taking efficient angles and finishing with sound tackling. He processes the read quickly, avoiding biting too hard on run fakes or getting beat deep. Whether in a tight space and condensed formations or coming down from spread looks, BJ tracks the ball well, impressive in his ability to secure tackles in the open field one-on-one. Allen understands what's going on, and that's crucial at safety, as he'll call the defense for the secondary. And as an early enrollee at a thin position, BJ could make an impact sooner rather than later. Our next safety is Austin Jordan out of Denton Ryan. His time playing corner and wide receiver in high school is a good indication of his physical abilities in space. Large frame and long arms and athletic build served him well at corner, able to man up outside receivers, while strong enough to stop the screen outside. Safeties end up carrying vertical receivers down the field based on the formation, and it's important to know how he can play one-on-one deep when the situation does arise. His verified track times of a 10.98 100 further display his straight line speed, able to get from point A to point B efficiently, needed for a safety tracking down a ball carrier in space or in a foot race to the end zone. Jordan can come down and make the hit when the ball is thrown in front of him, but he will need to improve his skills moving backwards when the ball is thrown overhead. Luckily at safety, he will oftentimes have 10-ish yards head start on deep balls. You can use his speed of field safety or use his larger frame for some run stopping duties of a boundary safety. Either way, Austin Jordan is an interesting prospect that could blossom with time in the collegiate system. And then we have Larry Turner Gooden out of California. On one hand, he's built like a linebacker, seeking contact and profiling more to a boundary safety. On the other hand, he's quick with good agility displayed by his time as a receiver and a return man in high school. Those instincts I've been harping about at the position are another plus for Larry. Good feel for the passing game and always around the ball, even in one-high looks where a single misstep takes you out of the play. His recognition in the pass game allows him to secure several interceptions. His awareness, likely developed during his time as a receiver, directs him to the play side to snag balls from frustrated wideouts. The athleticism bolsters his ability to move backwards and side to side quickly, making plays on balls QBs thought he was simply too far from. Once he secures the interception, his return ability kicks in, picking up extra yards for the defense. Turner Gooden is always in the mix, able to come down from his perch and make solid contact with full-speed running backs. His large upper body stops them in their tracks, and Texas needs this, as we lacked physicality at safety, especially in the run. Ultimately, I like boundary safety for Larry due to his aggression in the run game. And then you get the added perks of free safety-like range out of the position, granting him opportune interceptions not often seen by boundary safeties. Turner Gooden is also an early enrollee. The boundary safety spot will be up for grabs in the spring, and he can make a push or provide needed depth. And now, viewers, we are finished with all the defensive recruits, but that's not all. We also signed 2 special teams players that are needed to replenish a once impressive room. Dicker moved on to the NFL, getting rid of a major component as he both kicked and punted well for us. Our long snapper is also likely headed to the NFL, and these seem like small pieces to the average fan, but a bad kicker and bad long snapper is a quick way to lose games in a heartbreaking fashion. Our new kicker, Will Stone, is out of Austin, growing up a Longhorn fan and attending games throughout his childhood. And as the 4th ranked kicker in the nation, Stone has big shoes to fill and he'll compete with Bert Auburn early. Kicker's a lonely position, often practicing off in their own little corner, showing the need for the mental evaluation to be even stronger than their leg. Stepping out for the game-winning kick with 100,000 screaming fans, especially in the SEC, is enough to make anyone a bit shaky. But kickers need to be able to lean on their consistent training, all while blocking out that noise. Stone also has some versatility in the punt game, though that position will almost certainly be held by second-year punter Isaac Pearson, but it is good insurance in case of injury. Kicking evaluators are impressed with his range on field goals and they like what they see during kickoffs. Our latest long snapping prospect is Lance St. Louis out of Gilbert, Arizona. Long snappers are the most specialized player on the field. Long snapping is a skill set different than what a center does. Accuracy is the name of the game. You don't want punters or holders to move an inch to secure your snap. You are sending the ball 15 yards on punts and 8 yards on field goals, providing more distance for things to go wrong. That exaggerated distance requires a strong grip and an explosive snap, generating a good spin rate. Consistency is crucial. A bad snap slows the punter, which can lead to big plays for the defense. And that is a wrap on all the recruits and incoming transfers for 2022. And I'm excited for this group and impressed what the coaches could accomplish in year 1. This class has the required size on the offensive and defensive lines needed to dominate in the trenches and will provide the environment for our skill players to finally shine. And as we have brought excellent talent in, let's also cover the players that transferred out this year so we have a full picture of the new roster. 21 receiver Keithron Lee is in the portal following a suspension relating to an arrest in June of 2021 on a domestic violence charge. A fast receiver that would have had some fun potential in Sark's offense, but ultimately got in his own way. Elder statesman Alvante Woodard was in the Texas receiving room for years, but he's in the portal without a destination yet. And best of luck to Alvante with no bad blood there, as it's likely just a case of being recruited over. Wide receiver Joshua Moore also left the squad and he headed to SMU. He lacked consistency, struggled to catch anything contested, and didn't appear to be a team player. I do not consider this a loss, and the culture will be better for it. But I do consider this next one a loss. 2021 linebacker Terence Cooks departed to TCU, and I was super excited about him, and frankly, we needed his ability in a down room. The second linebacker to put his name in the portal is Ayodele Adeoye, another one that just didn't seem to get on the field after a nice high school career. Big dude we wanted to see smacking backs in the run game, and his destination still remains unclear. The final linebacker to enter the portal, destination pending, is Marcus Tillman Jr., a promising linebacker as well, who could never get back to full form after suffering an injury early on in his college career. And we lost a lesser-known safety in Marquise Caldwell, a former 3-star in the 2019 class, also without a sure destination. An older guy likely passed over by younger talent. And then we lost safety Chris Adamora, another guy we were excited to see what he could do. And this one was a bummer as his trajectory was promising, and I hope he lands in a better situation because we still don't know where he's headed yet. Blazing fast safety Tyler Owens transferred to Texas Tech, and fans were excited about him too, but he could never seem to work his way into the lineup consistently, and he struggled with the rules of the safety position. And he'll be fun to watch at Tech, and I hope he's able to realize his full potential. Former 5-star BJ Foster committed to Sam Houston State, another guy that left us scratching our heads, confused by the lack of him maximizing his talent. He quit the team at least a couple of times and didn't seem dedicated to the program or football in general. Sometimes a change of scenery helps, but Texas fans are still left wondering what could have been. A lesser-known cornerback in Tremaine Prudhomme is also in the portal without a landing spot, and he was originally in the 2018 class, ultimately lost in the shuffle. Punter Ryan Bukevski also recently entered the portal, likely due to the arrival of young punter Isaac Pearson. This does limit our depth at the position, and it could cause issues if injuries did occur. And sadly, tight end Jared Wiley transferred out to TCU, and it should be a great fit in Dyke's offense, and I hope to see him do well in the following season. He showed awesome flashes early on, but was another frustrating player for fans. We just couldn't figure out why he wasn't taking that next step and becoming a staple in the pass game. That's best of luck to Jared. With that size, he could be unstoppable. And our final transfer out was starting quarterback Casey Thompson, and he hung around for years behind Sam, having an awesome showing in the Colorado Bowl game. Then he had another great performance against OU, showing what he could do for the Nebraska Cornhuskers. And he had heart, battling through injury and a lot of tough losses. But the QB room added Quinn, and going through another QB battle late in his career didn't seem like the right move. Best of luck to Casey as well. Go give him hell in the Big Ten. And you can always expect a few more transfers out after spring ball. Some players will be disgruntled with the new depth chart, and sometimes coaches have to have talks with players advising them to head elsewhere. Sarkisian wants to change the culture, and his job is to rid the team of any players not buying in. But even with a couple significant losses, I can't help but be ecstatic about the transfers we included this year, and Ryan Watts, Isaiah Nayor, and Jaleel Billingsley, with a few more on the way after spring ball. And I want to thank you, the viewers, for all the support. The lovely comments mean a lot, and I'm excited to start year 2 of this channel with you all. Thanks for hanging out, watch some more of my videos here, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share if you want to support quality Texas content. As always, hook 'em.